The telegram crumpled in Olivia Dawson's gloved hand as she stood on the wooden platform of the Deer Lodge, Montana train station, watching the dust settle where her intended husband's wagon had just disappeared around the corner without her. She had traveled nearly 2,000 miles from Philadelphia, endured 3 weeks of jarring train rides, stale bread, and the constant worry that her savings would run out before she reached her destination. Now, in the spring of 1882, she found herself stranded in a territory town with barely enough money for a week's lodging and a fiancé who had taken one look at her and declared she would not do. Jacob Morrison had been quite specific in his reasons, delivered in a cold voice that carried across the platform for all to hear. She was too plain, too educated, too old at 23, and her letters had given him false expectations. He had come for a young beauty who would keep quiet and work hard, not a woman who quoted Shakespeare and had opinions about politics. The other passengers had long since dispersed, leaving Olivia alone with her trunk and carpetbag, the afternoon sun beating down on her dark traveling dress. She refused to cry, though her throat burned with the effort of holding back tears. She had known the risk when she answered Jacob's advertisement, had known that mail-order brides sometimes faced rejection, but she had been so certain that her letters, honest and warm, would have prepared him for who she truly was. A loud crack followed by a string of creative cursing pulled her attention to the road. A wagon had lost its rear wheel not 50 yards from the station, tilting dangerously to one side. The driver, a tall man in dusty trail clothes and a wide-brimmed hat, jumped down and kicked at the dirt in frustration. His horse, a sturdy roan, waited patiently in its traces. Olivia glanced around the nearly empty street. The few townspeople in sight seemed content to ignore the stranger's predicament. She looked down at her own hopeless situation, at her trunk that she could not carry, at the unfamiliar town where she knew no one. Then she looked back at the man struggling with his wagon. Her father had been a carriage maker. She had spent her childhood in his workshop, learning the mechanics of wheels and axles while other girls learned embroidery. It was one of many reasons her mother had despaired of her ever finding a husband in Philadelphia society. Making a decision, Olivia straightened her shoulders and walked toward the broken wagon, leaving her luggage on the platform. "Excuse me," she called out. "I might be able to help." The man turned, and Olivia felt her breath catch. He was not conventionally handsome in the way of gentlemen back east, but there was something arresting about him. He was probably in his late 20s, with dark hair that needed cutting, a strong jaw shadowed with stubble, and eyes the color of whiskey in sunlight. Dust covered his clothes, and he looked like he had been traveling hard. "Madam," he pulled off his hat, revealing more of those striking features. His expression was polite but skeptical. "I said I might be able to help with your wheel." Olivia moved closer, studying the problem. The wheel had not just fallen off, the axle pin had sheared completely and the hub was damaged. "Do you have tools?" "I have tools, but I am not sure what good they will do." He gestured at the wheel lying in the dirt. "The pin snapped clean through. May I look?" Olivia did not wait for permission. She knelt beside the wagon, ignoring the dust on her skirt, and examined the axle. "You have been carrying too much weight. See how the wood is stressed here. The pin gave way because of the pressure." The man crouched beside her, bringing with him the scent of leather and sage. "You know wagons. My father was a carriage maker." Olivia pointed to the hub. "This is cracked too. You will need a new wheel, but we can make a temporary repair if you have iron wire and a spare pin." "I have wire." His voice held a note of surprise and something else, interest perhaps. "No spare pin, though." Olivia sat back on her heels, thinking, is there a smithy in town? 2 doors down from the saloon. He stood and offered her his hand. His palm was calloused and warm, his grip firm as he helped her to her feet. "I am Quinn Edwards, Olivia Dawson." She brushed at her skirt, noting the dirt stains her mother would have found horrifying. "If we can get a pin from the smithy and some wooden shims, I can show you how to stabilize the hub long enough to get wherever you are going, provided it is not too far with a heavy load." Quinn looked at her for a long moment, his expression unreadable. "You just arrived on the train." It was not a question, but Olivia answered anyway. "Yes, and you are helping a stranger fix his wagon instead of meeting whoever came for you." Olivia felt her cheeks warm. "The person who came for me decided I would not do, so I find myself at liberty." Something flickered in Quinn's eyes, anger perhaps, directed not at her but at the man who had rejected her. "His loss." He said it simply, as if it were an obvious fact. "Will you watch my things while I go to the smithy? I would be grateful for your continued help, Miss Dawson." "Of course." Quinn unhitched his horse, tied it to a nearby post with access to a water trough, and headed toward town. Olivia returned to her luggage on the platform, dragging it closer to the wagon so she could keep watch over both. She sat on her trunk, ignoring the curious glances from the few passers-by, and tried not to think about what she would do when night fell. The sensible thing would be to use her remaining money for a train ticket back east, but the thought of returning to Philadelphia in defeat made her stomach churn. Quinn returned within 20 minutes carrying a canvas bag. "The smith gave me 3 pins and some shims." He wanted to know who the lady wagon expert was. Despite her situation, Olivia felt a small smile tug at her lips. "What did you tell him?" "That you were the smartest person I had met in Montana territory." Quinn set down the bag and began pulling out tools. "Now, show me what to do." For the next hour, Olivia directed while Quinn did the heavy work. He listened carefully to her instructions, asked intelligent questions, and did not once suggest that she did not know what she was talking about. It was refreshing after a lifetime of men dismissing her knowledge. Together, they shimmied the hub, reinforced it with wire, and fitted the new pin. Quinn lifted the wagon while Olivia guided the wheel back into place. By the time they finished, the sun had moved considerably across the sky, and they were both covered in dust and grease. Quinn tested the wheel, rolling the wagon forward and back. It held. "That should get me home." He looked at Olivia, then at her luggage still sitting by the platform. "Where are you staying?" "I have not arranged anything yet." Olivia tried to keep her voice steady. "I will find a boarding house." "There is only one, and it is not the kind of place a lady should stay alone." Quinn pulled a canteen from the wagon and offered it to her. "The rooms are above the saloon and the walls are thin." Olivia accepted the canteen, suddenly aware of how thirsty she was. The water was warm but clean. "Thank you, I will manage. You saved me a 2-day delay at minimum, possibly a broken axle and definitely a load of spoiled supplies." Quinn took the canteen when she handed it back. "I am in your debt, Miss Dawson." "You do not owe me anything, Mr. Edwards. I was glad to help." "Quinn." "And I do owe you." He paused, seeming to wrestle with something. "I own a ranch about 15 miles north of here. Actually, I own considerably more than a ranch, but that is where I live. I have a housekeeper, Mrs. Chen, who lives in the main house with her husband. They could use help, and you need a place to stay. I can offer you room and board in exchange for whatever work you are willing to do. No obligations, and I will pay for your train ticket east whenever you want to leave." Olivia stared at him. "You are offering me employment." "You do not know anything about me. I know you are educated, skilled with your hands, and willing to help a stranger. I know you came here to marry a man who was fool enough to reject you, and I know you need help." Quinn's amber eyes met hers directly. "I am not offering anything improper, Miss Dawson. The Chens will be there and you will have your own room. But if you would rather take your chances in town, I will not press you." It was a wild idea, going off to a ranch with a man she had just met. Her mother would have fainted at the suggestion. But her mother was not here, and Olivia had already traveled 2,000 miles based on letters from a stranger. At least Quinn had been honest with her, and there was something in his straightforward manner that she trusted. "What kind of work?" she asked carefully. "Whatever you are good at. Mrs. Chen handles most of the house, but she is getting older and her husband needs help with the books. I am better with cattle than figures. If you can read and write as well as you fix wagons, you would be useful." Quinn adjusted his hat. "And before you ask, yes, I can give you references. Judge Winters in town knows me, as does Sheriff Porter. I am not a perfect man, Miss Dawson, but I am an honest one." Olivia made her decision. What did she have to lose? "All right, I accept your offer, Mr. Edwards." "Quinn," he corrected with a slight smile that transformed his serious face. "If you are going to work for me, we can skip the formalities. Let me load your trunk." He lifted her heavy trunk as if it weighed nothing and secured it in the wagon bed alongside sacks of flour, sugar, and other supplies. Olivia climbed up onto the wagon seat, arranging her skirts. Quinn swung up beside her and took the reins. The wagon dipped slightly under his weight but held steady. Their repair would last. As they rolled out of Deer Lodge, heading north into open country, Olivia allowed herself to relax slightly. The mountains rose in the distance, still capped with snow despite the spring warmth. The land was vast in a way that made her Philadelphia neighborhood seem impossibly small and crowded. Grass rippled in waves across the plains, broken by stands of pine and cottonwood along creek beds. "How long have you lived here?" Olivia asked, breaking the comfortable silence. "I came to Montana in '74, 8 years ago. I was 18 and had $50 to my name." Quinn kept his eyes on the road ahead. "Worked as a cowhand for a man named Samuel Carson. He owned about 5,000 acres and ran cattle. I learned the business, saved my money, and when Carson decided to sell and move back to St. Louis 5 years ago, I bought him out." "You bought 5,000 acres?" Olivia could not keep the surprise from her voice. "That was just the start." Quinn glanced at her. "Carson sold cheap because he wanted out fast. His wife hated Montana. I used the land as collateral and bought out 3 other ranchers who were struggling. Then I bought timber rights, mineral rights, and water rights. Invested in a silver mine that paid off better than anyone expected. Bought more land. The ranch now covers about 40,000 acres, and I own water rights and grazing rights to another 100,000, plus shares in 2 mines, a lumber mill, and a freight company." Olivia tried to comprehend that much land and could not. "That is more than half the acreage in some eastern counties. Territory out here is cheap if you know what you are buying and have cash when your neighbors do not." Quinn's voice was matter of fact. "I am not saying it makes me special. I was lucky and worked hard. A lot of men work just as hard and have nothing to show for it. So when you said you owned a ranch, you rather understated things. I live on a ranch. That is the part that matters to me." Quinn guided the wagon around a deep rut. "The rest is just business and paperwork. Mrs. Chen thinks I should build a big house in town, hire servants, throw parties. But I like where I am." They rode in silence for a while. The road was rough but well-traveled, cutting through grassland that stretched to the horizon. Olivia spotted antelope in the distance and what might have been elk on a far hillside. A hawk circled overhead, riding the wind currents. "Why were you in Deer Lodge?" Olivia asked. "For supplies, meeting with my lawyer and the Territorial Land Office, had some papers to file. Quinn shifted the reins to one hand and pulled out a piece of jerky from his pocket. He offered it to Olivia first, who declined, then bit off a piece. I try to get to town once a month to handle business. The rest of the time I am on the ranch. You run cattle. Cattle, horses, some timber harvest from the high country. The ranch employs about 30 men year-round, more during roundup and drives. Quinn looked at her curiously. Do you know anything about ranching? Not a thing, Olivia admitted, but I can learn. That is a better attitude than most have. Quinn finished his jerky. What did you do back east before you decided to come west? I taught school for 2 years after my father died. My mother remarried last year, and her new husband made it clear there was not room for me in their household. I saw an advertisement for mail-order brides and thought it might be an opportunity for a fresh start. Olivia kept her voice even, though the memory of her stepfather's coldness still stung. I corresponded with Jacob Morrison for 4 months. His letters were kind. I thought we understood each other. What happened when you met him? He took one look at me and said I would not do. I was too old, too plain, too educated. He wanted someone young and beautiful who would not question him. Olivia twisted her hands in her lap. The things he said on that platform, everyone heard. It was humiliating. Quinn was quiet for a moment. When he spoke, his voice was tight with anger. Jacob Morrison is known in these parts as a fool and a bully. He goes through hired hands like water because no one can stand working for him. You had a narrow escape, Miss Dawson. If he had accepted you, you would have found yourself trapped with a man who would have made your life miserable. That is kind of you to say. It is not kind. It is true. Quinn looked at her directly. And for what it is worth, you are none of the things he said. Any man with eyes can see that. Olivia felt heat rise in her cheeks and looked away, unused to such straightforward compliments. They rode on, the wagon creaking rhythmically, the horses hooved steady on the packed earth road. The sun moved lower, painting the mountains gold and orange. Tell me about Mrs. Chen, Olivia said, changing the subject. How did she come to work for you? They are not exactly employees. It is more complicated than that. Quinn's expression softened. Wai Chen and his wife Mei Ling came to Montana 6 years ago. Wai worked on the railroad until it was finished, then tried to find other work. Most places would not hire him because he is Chinese. There was a lot of ugly sentiment after the railroad was done. Still is. Olivia nodded, familiar with the prejudice that had erupted after the transcontinental railroad's completion. Wai is a skilled carpenter and stoneworker. Mei Ling is an excellent cook and housekeeper. They needed work and a safe place to stay. I needed help managing the house and someone to do repairs. We worked out an arrangement. They have their own cabin on the property. I pay them fair wages and Mei Ling keeps the house in order. They are good people and I count them as friends. That was kind of you. It was practical. They are worth 3 times what I pay them. Quinn pointed ahead. We are almost there. The ranch buildings are just over that rise. Olivia sat up straighter, nervous suddenly about meeting new people and seeing her new temporary home. As they crested the hill, she got her first look at the ranch. The main house was larger than she had expected. A solid 2-story structure of logs and stone with a wide porch wrapping around 3 sides. Outbuildings dotted the area, including a large barn, several corrals, a bunkhouse, and what looked like a workshop. A vegetable garden stretched behind the house, newly planted. Trees had been left standing around the buildings, providing shade. A creek ran nearby, lined with willows and cottonwoods. It is beautiful, Olivia said honestly. It is home. Quinn guided the wagon toward the house. As they approached, a woman emerged onto the porch, wiping her hands on her apron. She was small and neat, her dark hair streaked with silver and pulled back in a bun. Her eyes went wide when she saw Olivia. Quinn pulled the wagon to a stop and jumped down. "Mei Ling, this is Miss Olivia Dawson. She helped me repair the wagon in town, and I have offered her a position helping around the place. Miss Dawson, this is Mei Ling Chen." Mei Ling descended the porch steps, her expression curious but welcoming. "You are very welcome, Miss Dawson. Please come inside. You must be tired from the journey." "Thank you, Mrs. Chen." Olivia accepted Quinn's hand to climb down from the wagon. Her legs were stiff from the ride. "I will unload the supplies and tend to the horse," Quinn said. "Mei Ling, can you show Miss Dawson to the guest room upstairs?" "The one facing east, of course." Mei Ling took in Olivia's dusty, grease-stained dress. "Would you like hot water for washing? Dinner will be ready in an hour." "That would be wonderful, thank you." Mei Ling led her into the house. The interior was neat and surprisingly refined. The main room had comfortable furniture, bookshelves filled with volumes, and a stone fireplace large enough to stand in. The wooden floors gleamed with polish, and curtains framed the windows. It was not the rough bachelor quarters Olivia had half expected. They climbed stairs to the second floor, which had 4 bedrooms opening off a central hallway. Mei Ling showed her into a corner room with windows facing east and south. The room held a bed covered with a colorful quilt, a dresser, a washstand, and a comfortable chair by the window. Simple but clean and inviting. "Mr. Quinn said you helped fix his wagon," Mei Ling said as she poured water from a pitcher into the basin. "My father taught me about wheels and axles. The repair was not difficult." Olivia set down her carpet bag. "Mr. Quinn said you would help with work." "What kind of work do you do?" "I taught school back east. I can read, write, and handle figures. I am also familiar with basic carpentry and I can sew, though I am not exceptionally skilled at it." Olivia paused. "I am willing to learn whatever is needed," Mei Ling smiled. "You will do well here. Mr. Quinn is a good man, but he needs help with many things. He forgets to eat when he is working. He cannot keep his papers organized, and the books for the ranch, they are a mess. Y tries to help, but numbers are not his strength either." "I can help with that." "Good. Now wash and rest. I will bring hot water in a moment, and I will have Y bring up your trunk. Dinner is beef stew and fresh bread. I hope that is acceptable." "It sounds wonderful." Mei Ling left, and Olivia looked around the room that would be hers, at least for a while. Through the window, she could see the mountains in the distance, the setting sun painting them purple and gold. She could hear Quinn's voice below, talking to someone, probably Y Chen. A horse whinnied in the corral. This was not at all what she had expected when she boarded the train in Philadelphia 3 weeks ago. But standing in this simple, clean room with a view of the mountains, Olivia felt something she had not felt in a long time. Hope. She washed her face and hands in the cool water, removing the worst of the dust and grease, then sat in the chair by the window and unpinned her hair, letting it fall loose around her shoulders. Her dark brown waves were tangled and full of dust, but dealing with them would have to wait until the hot water arrived. A soft knock came at the door. "Miss Dawson, I have your trunk." Olivia opened the door to find a man in his 50s, lean and weathered, with kind eyes and silver threading through his dark hair. He carried her trunk on one shoulder as if it weighed nothing. "Thank you, Mr. Chen. Just Y, please." He set the trunk down carefully at the foot of the bed. "My wife tells me you fixed Mr. Quinn's wagon. That is impressive. He says you are very skilled." "I was happy to help." Y smiled. "Mei Ling and I are glad you are here. Mr. Quinn works too hard and has no one to talk to except us and his ranch hands. It will be good for him to have another educated person around. He reads constantly but has no one to discuss the books with. He seems like a good employer. He is more than that. He is a good man. Y's expression turned serious. When we had nowhere to go, when other people would not hire us or even speak to us with basic decency, Mr. Quinn gave us work and treated us with respect. He paid for medicine when Mei Ling was sick 2 winters ago, brought in a doctor from Deer Lodge. He is fair and honest, and he works as hard as any of his men. You will not find a better person to work for, Miss Dawson. Thank you for telling me. Y nodded and left. A few minutes later, Mei Ling returned with a large pitcher of hot water and clean towels. Take your time. Dinner will not be ready for a while yet. Come down when you are ready. Alone again, Olivia stripped to her chemise and washed thoroughly, scrubbing away the grime of travel and work. She unpacked her trunk, hanging her 2 dresses in the small wardrobe and arranging her meager belongings in the dresser. She had not brought much, mostly practical clothes and a few treasured books. Her mother had not wanted her to take anything of value, claiming it would be wasted on frontier life. Olivia dressed in her better dress, a simple blue cotton with black trim. She rebraided her hair and coiled it at the nape of her neck, then headed downstairs. The main room was empty, but she could hear voices from the kitchen. Following the sound and the delicious smell of cooking food, Olivia found a spacious kitchen with a large iron stove, a long work table, and open shelves filled with dishes and supplies. Mei Ling was stirring a pot while Y sat at the table, cutting vegetables. Quinn was there too, cleaned up from the trail, his hair damp from washing. He had changed into a clean shirt and looked different somehow, more relaxed. Miss Dawson, please sit. Mei Ling gestured to the table. Dinner is almost ready. Can I help with anything? No. You are a guest tonight. Tomorrow you can help. Mei Ling ladled stew into bowls. Olivia sat across from Y. Quinn took the seat at the head of the table. It was strange, sitting down to dinner with her employer, but Quinn seemed to think nothing of it. Mei Ling brought bread to the table and sat down herself. The stew was delicious, rich with beef and vegetables, seasoned with herbs Olivia did not recognize. The bread was fresh and warm. After weeks of train food and stale sandwiches, it was the best meal Olivia had eaten in memory. This is wonderful, Mrs. Chen, she said. Thank you. You are welcome. Eat plenty. You are too thin. Quinn smiled slightly. Mei Ling thinks everyone is too thin. But she is right that her cooking is the best in the territory. They ate in comfortable silence for a while. Then Y said, Mr. Quinn, the fence in the north pasture needs repair. 3 posts are down. I will send some men out tomorrow. Quinn turned to Olivia. Miss Dawson, I thought I would show you around the property tomorrow morning, let you get a sense of the place. Then, if you are willing, I would appreciate your help organizing the ranch accounts. The ledgers are in disorder, and I need to know exactly where we stand financially before the cattle drive in 2 months. I can do that, Olivia said. I kept the books for the school where I taught. Excellent. Why, can you show her the office after dinner? Let her see what she is getting into. Y grinned. It is very bad, papers everywhere. Mr. Quinn starts things but does not finish. Quinn did not look offended. I know my weaknesses. Numbers and paperwork are not my strengths. Cattle, horses, land management, those I understand. But running a business this size requires organization I am not good at maintaining. After dinner, Olivia insisted on helping clear the dishes despite Mei Ling's protests. Then Y led her to a room off the main living area that served as Quinn's office. He opened the door and Olivia understood Y's grin. Papers covered every surface. Ledgers lay open on the desk, receipts and invoices scattered among them. A filing cabinet stood in the corner, drawers half open, folders threatening to spill out. Oh my, Olivia said. I told you it was bad. Y looked apologetic. Mr. Quinn tries, but he gets called away to deal with ranch business and then he forgets what he was working on. Olivia stepped into the room, surveying the chaos with a practiced eye. It looked overwhelming, but she had dealt with worse. The school's accounts had been in terrible shape when she took them over. I can fix this. It will take time, but I can make sense of it. Truly, Y looked relieved. Mr. Quinn worries about the finances. He does not want to make mistakes or miss anything important. I will help him. Olivia picked up one of the ledgers, noting entries in Quinn's bold, uneven handwriting. The man clearly knew what information he needed to record, but had no system for organizing it. Does he have all his receipts and invoices? Most of them. Some are probably in his desk drawers or coat pockets. Olivia smiled despite herself. I will find them. Thank you for showing me this, Y. They returned to the main room where Quinn sat by the fireplace, reading a book by lamplight. He looked up when they entered. So, think you can make sense of my disaster? I have seen worse, Olivia said diplomatically. Quinn laughed, a warm sound that made Olivia's heart do something unexpected. You are being kind. It is the worst organizational mess you have ever encountered, I am sure. Perhaps, Olivia admitted, but it is fixable. I will need a few days to sort through everything and develop a system, then I can start on the actual bookkeeping. Take whatever time you need. Quinn closed his book. Miss Dawson, I want to be clear about your position here. You will have your own space and privacy. You are free to leave at any time. If you are uncomfortable with anything, tell me immediately and we will address it. I brought you here because you needed help and because I genuinely need your skills. But your welfare and comfort are the priority. Understood? Yes, Mr. Edwards. Thank you. Quinn, he corrected gently. We are not formal out here. Then you should call me Olivia. Something passed between them, a moment of connection that made Olivia catch her breath. Quinn held her gaze for a heartbeat longer than necessary before nodding. Olivia it is. Now you have had a long day, you should rest. We keep early hours here. I usually start my day before dawn. I am used to early mornings. I will be ready. Olivia said good night and climbed the stairs to her room. Through the window, she could see stars scattered across the sky like diamonds on black velvet, brighter and more numerous than she had ever seen in Philadelphia. The night air was cool and smelled of pine and grass. An owl called in the distance. She changed into her nightgown and slipped into bed. The mattress was comfortable, the quilts warm. She expected to lie awake, her mind churning with the strangeness of her situation, but exhaustion pulled her under almost immediately. Olivia woke to birdsong and pale dawn light streaming through the windows. For a moment, she did not remember where she was. Then memory returned, the events of yesterday arranging themselves in her mind. She dressed quickly in her practical brown work dress, braided her hair, and headed downstairs. Mei Ling was already in the kitchen, pulling fresh biscuits from the oven. Good morning, Olivia. Did you sleep well? Very well, thank you. Can I help with breakfast? You can set the table. Y and Mr. Quinn will be in soon. They are checking on a sick horse in the barn. Olivia found plates and silverware and set the table. By the time she finished, the back door opened and Quinn entered with Y. Both men had hay in their hair. Good morning, Quinn said. The mare is better. I think she just ate something that disagreed with her. He noticed Olivia. You are up early. I told you I was used to early mornings. They sat down to a breakfast of biscuits, gravy, eggs, and bacon. Quinn ate quickly, clearly a man used to working through meals. When he finished, he pushed back his plate and looked at Olivia. Ready for that tour? Yes. They left the house together, stepping out into a morning that was crisp and clear. The sun was just clearing the mountains, painting everything gold. Quinn led her first to the barn, a huge structure that housed about 20 horses. He introduced her to his foreman, a weathered man named Tom Riley, who touched his hat brim and welcomed her. From the barn, they walked to the corrals where horses grazed. Quinn pointed out the different breeds, explaining which were ranch horses, which were being trained for sale, and which were his personal mounts. He clearly loved horses, his voice warming when he talked about their individual personalities and quirks. They visited the bunkhouse where the ranch hands lived, a long building with bunks and a common room. Most of the men were out working, but the few who remained greeted Quinn with easy familiarity. He introduced Olivia simply as their new bookkeeper, which earned respectful nods. Quinn showed her the workshop where Y crafted repairs and built furniture, the smokehouse, the root cellar, the chicken coop, and finally the vegetable garden where Mei Ling grew herbs and vegetables. The ranch is basically self-sufficient, Quinn explained. We raise our own beef, grow our own vegetables, hunt game. We buy flour, sugar, coffee, and supplies we cannot produce, but we try to rely on ourselves as much as possible. How many cattle do you run? Olivia asked. About 5,000 head currently. We will drive 2,000 to market in 2 months. That is where the real money is made, selling beef to the railhead and to eastern markets. Quinn pointed to the grassland stretching beyond the ranch buildings. The cattle range freely across the property, moving where the grass and water are best. My men ride out every day to check on them, make sure none are stuck in ravines or being harassed by predators. It is an impressive operation. It is a lot of work, but I love it. Quinn's expression was open, honest. Every morning I wake up and get to do what I care about. Not many people can say that. They walked back toward the house, taking a path along the creek. The water ran clear and fast, cold from snowmelt. Willows trailed their branches in the current. Quinn, can I ask you something? Olivia said. Of course. Why did you never marry? You have built all this, but you live here essentially alone. Quinn was quiet for a moment. I thought about it a few times, came close once actually. There was a woman in Deer Lodge, a shopkeeper's daughter. We courted for about 6 months 5 years ago. I asked her to marry me and she said yes. Then she came out to see the ranch. He smiled, but there was sadness in it. She looked around and said she could never live so far from town, so isolated. She wanted me to sell the ranch and move to Deer Lodge, open a business there. I told her I could not do that. She gave me back the ring. I am sorry. It worked out for the best. She married a banker the next year and seems happy. And I realized I needed someone who understood this life, who would not see the ranch as something to escape from. Quinn picked up a smooth stone and tossed it into the creek. I have been busy building the business. There has not been much time for courting. And honestly, I have not met anyone who made me want to make the time. The way he said it, looking at her as he spoke, made Olivia's pulse quicken. She looked away, suddenly flustered. They returned to the house and Quinn left to attend to ranch business. Olivia spent the rest of the morning in the office, beginning the monumental task of organizing the chaos. She sorted papers into piles, invoices, receipts, correspondence, and miscellaneous. She found receipts stuffed in drawers, tucked between ledger pages, and even used as bookmarks. By noon, she had covered the floor with organized stacks and had a better sense of the scope of the work. Mei Ling brought her lunch on a tray, chicken sandwiches and lemonade. You have been working hard. Do not forget to eat. Thank you. Olivia ate at the desk, studying a ledger from the previous year. The entries were sporadic but detailed when they existed. Quinn clearly understood what information needed to be recorded. He just did not do it consistently. She worked through the afternoon, creating a filing system and beginning to enter missing transactions into the ledger. It was painstaking work, but Olivia found it satisfying. There was something deeply pleasing about bringing order to chaos. Quinn found her there at sunset, still bent over the ledger. "Olivia, you have been working all day. Take a break. I just want to finish this entry. It will still be there tomorrow." Quinn leaned against the door frame. "Come outside. You should see the sunset from the west porch." Olivia set down her pencil and followed him through the house to the porch that wrapped around to face west. The sun was setting behind the mountains, the sky ablaze with orange, pink, and purple. The grassland glowed gold. It was breathtaking. "This is what I wanted to show you," Quinn said softly. "This is why I could never leave." Olivia understood. "It is beautiful." They stood in comfortable silence, watching the light fade. Olivia was aware of Quinn beside her, of the warmth of his presence. She had known him barely 24 hours, but already she felt more comfortable with him than she had felt with Jacob Morrison after months of letters. "How bad is the financial situation?" Quinn asked. "Not bad at all. Your instincts are sound. The ranch is profitable and you have made smart investments. You just need better organization so you can see everything at a glance." Quinn visibly relaxed. "That is a relief. I always worry I am missing something crucial." "I will make sure you are not." Olivia looked at him. "Quinn, thank you for giving me this opportunity. Yesterday morning, I was standing on that platform with nowhere to go. Now I have a purpose and a place. That means more than you know. I am the one who should be thanking you. You saved me from dealing with that nightmare of an office on my own." Quinn smiled. "And I am glad you are here, Olivia. It is nice having someone to talk to who understands what I am saying when I mention books or current events." Wai and Mei Ling seem very educated. They are, but they are also busy with their own work. And there is only so much they want to discuss my business dealings. Quinn turned to face her fully. "I meant what I said yesterday. You are not too old or too plain or too educated. Jacob Morrison is a fool." Olivia's breath caught. "You barely know me." "I know enough." Quinn held her gaze. "I know you are brave enough to travel 2,000 miles alone, smart enough to fix a wagon and organize chaos, kind enough to help a stranger. That is more than enough." The air between them felt charged somehow, heavy with possibility. Olivia knew she should step back, maintain professional distance, but she did not want to. She wanted to step closer to see if Quinn would reach for her hand. The moment was broken by Tom Riley calling from the barn. "Boss, we have got a problem with the fence in the east pasture." Quinn sighed. "Duty calls. I will see you at dinner." "Yes." He left, and Olivia stood on the porch, watching until he disappeared into the barn. Her heart was beating faster than it should, and she could not quite catch her breath. She barely knew this man, had been under his roof for only one day, but something was happening between them. Something unexpected and thrilling and terrifying. The days fell into a rhythm. Olivia rose early, helped Mei Ling with breakfast, then spent her mornings in the office working on the books. By the end of the first week, she had organized all the paperwork, created a filing system, and updated the ledgers to reflect the current state of the ranch finances. She presented Quinn with a summary showing assets, debts, income, and expenses, all laid out clearly. Quinn studied the report, his expression one of amazement. "This is incredible. I can actually understand my own finances now." "That is the idea." Olivia pointed to different sections. "You are doing very well. The cattle operation is profitable. Your investments are sound, and you have enough capital reserves to weather any setbacks. The only recommendation I have is to diversify slightly more. Right now, you are heavily invested in cattle and mining. If both industries struggle at once, you could face difficulties. What would you suggest? The freight company you have shares in is doing well. You might consider increasing your stake there. and there are opportunities in land development as more settlers move into the territory. Controlled growth could be very profitable. Quinn looked at her with something like awe. You have been here a week and already understand my business better than I do. I just organized what was already here. You built all this, Quinn. That takes vision and hard work. I just made it visible. Over dinner that night, Y said, Olivia, you have not seen any of the territory outside this ranch. You should see more of Montana before you decide whether to stay or go back east. That is a good idea, Quinn said. I need to ride out to the high pastures this weekend to check on the cattle there. Would you like to come, Olivia? It is a full-day ride, but the views are spectacular. Olivia's practical side said she should refuse, maintain appropriate distance, but her heart said yes. I would like that, but I have not ridden in years. We will take it slow. I will put you on Daisy. She is gentle and reliable. Quinn looked pleased. We will leave early Saturday morning. Saturday dawned clear and warm. Olivia dressed in her most practical outfit, though no amount of practicality could make a woman's traveling dress suitable for horseback riding. Quinn met her at the barn with 2 horses saddled and ready. Daisy was a pretty chestnut mare with kind eyes. Quinn's mount was a tall black gelding named Ace. Have you ridden Western saddle before? Quinn asked. No, only side saddle back east. Western is more practical. Let me help you up. Quinn lifted her into the saddle with casual strength. Olivia arranged her skirts as best she could and took the reins. Daisy shifted beneath her, responding to her nervous energy. Relax, Quinn said. She can feel your tension. Just sit easy and let her do most of the work. They rode out as the sun climbed higher, heading into the foothills. Quinn kept the pace gentle, true to his word. As Olivia relaxed, she found herself enjoying the experience. The motion of the horse was different from what she was used to, but not unpleasant. Quinn pointed out features of the land as they rode, explaining his grazing rotation system, showing her where the best grass grew and where natural springs provided water. He talked about the cattle, explaining how he selected breeding stock and managed the herd health. Olivia listened, fascinated by his depth of knowledge. They stopped at midday by a stream to rest the horses and eat the lunch Mei Ling had packed. Quinn spread a blanket on the grass, and they sat in the shade of pines, eating sandwiches and drinking cool water from the stream. You are doing well, Quinn said. Not everyone takes to riding so quickly. Daisy makes it easy. Olivia stroked the mare's neck. She is very patient with me. She is a good horse. Quinn leaned back on his elbows, looking relaxed. So, have you decided whether to stay or go back east? The question caught Olivia off guard. I have not really thought about leaving. It has been 2 weeks. You said I should pay for your train ticket whenever you wanted to go. Do you want me to leave? Olivia's heart clenched at the thought. No. Quinn sat up, meeting her eyes. I very much want you to stay, but I want it to be your choice, not something you feel obligated to do. I do not feel obligated. I like it here. The work is satisfying. Mei Ling and Y are wonderful and the land is beautiful. I have no desire to return to Philadelphia. What about your mother? My mother made it clear she prefers her new husband to me. I am not welcome there. Olivia kept her voice steady. I have no family waiting for me, no friends who would miss me. Coming west was supposed to give me a fresh start. It did, just not in the way I expected. Quinn was quiet for a moment. I am glad you stayed. These past 2 weeks having you here, it has made me realize how lonely I have been. I did not even know it until suddenly I was not lonely anymore. Olivia's pulse quickened. I have felt the same way. The air between them charged with unspoken feelings. Quinn reached out and took her hand, his calloused palm warm against hers. Olivia, I need to be honest with you. When I offered you this job, it was because you needed help and I needed someone with your skills. But somewhere in the past 2 weeks, it became more than that. I find myself looking for excuses to be near you. I wait for dinner because that is when we talk. I think about you when I am out with the cattle. This is not appropriate employer behavior, and I apologize if I have made you uncomfortable. Olivia's heart was racing. You have not made me uncomfortable. I have been feeling the same way. I thought it was just me, that I was being foolish. Not foolish. Quinn's thumb traced circles on the back of her hand. Olivia, you are remarkable. You are intelligent, capable, and kind. You see things clearly and speak your mind. You fixed my wagon, organized my disaster of an office, and made my house feel like a home. I know it is too soon, I know I should wait, but I cannot help how I feel. How do you feel? Olivia whispered. Like I have been waiting for you without knowing it. Like everything before you arrived was preparation for something, and now that something has finally started. Quinn moved closer. I am falling for you, Olivia. Tell me I am not alone in this. You are not alone. Olivia squeezed his hand. I feel it too. It terrifies me how quickly this is happening, but I cannot deny it. Quinn reached up and cupped her cheek with his free hand. May I kiss you? Olivia nodded, unable to speak. Quinn leaned in slowly, giving her time to pull away. When his lips met hers, it was gentle and sweet, a question and an answer at once. Olivia closed her eyes, lost in the sensation. The kiss deepened, and she felt Quinn's hand slide into her hair, scattering pins. When they finally pulled apart, both were breathing hard. I have wanted to do that since the day I met you, Quinn said, his voice rough. I have wanted you to. Olivia's cheeks were flushed. They sat close together, hands entwined, neither wanting to break the connection. Finally, Quinn said reluctantly, we should head back. I promised you would see the high pastures. They packed up the remains of lunch and mounted again. Olivia's body hummed with awareness of Quinn riding beside her. Everything looked different now, brighter and more vivid. They climbed higher into the foothills, the trail growing steeper. Finally, they emerged onto a plateau that took Olivia's breath away. The high pasture spread before them, emerald grass dotted with wildflowers. Cattle grazed peacefully, overseen by two of Quinn's ranch hands. Beyond the pasture, the mountains rose in jagged peaks, snow still clinging to their summits. The sky was impossibly blue. This is incredible, Olivia breathed. This is the best grazing land on the property. The grass grows thick because of the mountain runoff, and the altitude keeps it cooler in summer. Quinn pointed. You can see clear to the Canadian border from here on a clear day. They rode across the pasture, Quinn checking on the cattle and speaking briefly with his hands. Then they started the journey back, taking a different trail that wound through pine forest. The afternoon sun slanted through the trees, creating patterns of light and shadow. Quinn, what happens now? Olivia asked as they rode. With us, I mean. What do you want to happen? I want to stay. I want to see where this goes, but I am still technically your employee, and that complicates things. Then you are not my employee anymore. You are my partner. Quinn looked at her seriously. I will still pay you the same amount, but it is for partnership, not employment. You help me run this place, make decisions with me. If that makes you uncomfortable, we can work out something else. Partnership. Olivia tested the word. I like that. They arrived back at the ranch as the sun was setting. Why took the horses to cool them down and rub them out? Quinn walked Olivia to the house, neither wanting the day to end. On the porch, Quinn took both her hands. Thank you for today, for being honest about your feelings, for giving us a chance. Thank you for being brave enough to say something. I would have kept my feelings hidden forever, afraid of ruining everything. Quinn smiled. We are both too practical for our own good sometimes. He kissed her forehead. Get some rest. Tomorrow is Sunday, we can actually relax for once." Olivia went upstairs in a daze, her mind spinning. Everything had changed in the space of a few hours. She changed into her nightgown and sat by the window, watching the stars emerge. She had come west looking for a fresh start and had found so much more. She was falling in love with Quinn Edwards, with his steady strength and quiet humor, with his passion for this land and his kindness to everyone around him. It was fast, perhaps too fast by conventional standards, but Olivia had already broken convention by traveling 2,000 miles to marry a stranger. At least with Quinn, she knew him, could see his character and how he treated his employees and his horses and the land he loved. She trusted her feelings in a way she had not trusted her decision to come west as a mail-order bride. The next morning, Quinn was waiting for her after breakfast. "Come with me. I want to show you something." He led her on foot across the property to a rise that overlooked the ranch buildings and the valley beyond. Someone had built a bench there, positioned perfectly to take in the view. "I come here when I need to think," Quinn said as they sat. "Samuel Carson, the man I bought this place from, built this bench. He told me when I bought the ranch that this spot would keep me sane. He was right. It is peaceful. Olivia, I have been thinking about what you said yesterday, about things being complicated because you work for me. I meant what I said about partnership, but I want to be clear about what I am hoping for." Quinn took her hand. "I am not looking for a business partner, though I value your help more than I can say. I am not looking for a housekeeper or a bookkeeper. I am looking for someone to share this life with. Someone who understands what I am building here and wants to build it with me." Olivia's heart was pounding. "What are you saying?" "I am saying that I want to court you properly. I want to take you to dances in Deer Lodge, introduce you to people as someone important to me, give you time to be sure about what you feel. And if, after you have had time to be certain, you still feel the way I hope you do, I want to marry you." Quinn's amber eyes were intense. "I know it is fast. I know we have only known each other a few weeks, but when something is right, you know it, and this feels right to me." "It feels right to me too," Olivia said softly. "I came west expecting to marry a man I had never met, based only on letters. At least with you, I know who you are. I have seen your character, your kindness, your integrity. I am not afraid of moving fast when I am moving in the right direction." Quinn pulled her close and kissed her, deep and lingering. When they broke apart, he rested his forehead against hers. "Then we are courting officially. And I am going to do everything I can to make you fall as much in love with me as I am with you." "I think I am already there," Olivia admitted. Over the following weeks, Quinn courted her with a single-minded focus that would have been overwhelming if it were not so genuine. He brought her wildflowers from the meadow. He taught her to ride better, taking her on evening rides when the work was done. He read poetry to her on the porch, his deep voice making the verses come alive. He asked about her life before Montana, listening with genuine interest as she talked about teaching in her father's workshop and growing up in Philadelphia. In turn, Olivia learned more about Quinn. His father had been a farmer in Ohio who lost everything to debt. Quinn had watched his parents struggle and starve, and it had driven him west looking for opportunity. His father had died when Quinn was 17, his mother a year later. He had been alone since then, building his fortune through determination and calculated risk. "I promised myself I would never be poor again," Quinn told her one evening as they sat by the creek. "Not just for myself, but so I could help people who were in the position my parents were in. That is why I hired Y and Mei Ling when no one else would. Why I pay my men better than standard wages. I remember what it is like to have nothing, to be desperate." Olivia understood him better after that, understood the drive behind his success. He was not building an empire for its own sake, but creating security and opportunity. One Saturday in early July, Quinn drove her into Deer Lodge in the Wagon. The town was busy with weekend traffic, cowboys and miners and families shopping. Quinn introduced her to the shopkeepers, the doctor, the lawyer, and Judge Winters. He introduced her as his intended, which made Olivia's heart soar and earned her curious but friendly looks from the townspeople. They stopped at the dress shop, where Quinn insisted on buying her 2 new dresses, one for everyday wear and one for special occasions. The shopkeeper, a kind woman named Martha Hayes, fussed over Olivia, taking measurements and showing her fabrics. "Mr. Edwards, you should take Miss Dawson to the dance next month," Martha said. "The town throws a big celebration every August. Music, food, dancing under the stars. It is quite romantic." "We will be there," Quinn promised. They had dinner at the town's small hotel restaurant, a luxury after weeks of meals at the ranch. Over roast chicken and vegetables, Quinn said, "Olivia, I need to ask you something serious." "What is it?" "I want to marry you." "Not someday in the future, but soon. I know we agreed to a proper courtship, and if you need more time, I will wait. But I am certain of how I feel, and I do not see the point in waiting if you are certain too." Quinn reached across the table and took her hand. "Will you marry me?" Olivia's eyes filled with tears. "Yes, yes, I will marry you." Quinn's face transformed with joy. He stood, pulled her up, and kissed her right there in the restaurant, earning applause from the other diners. When they sat back down, both laughing and breathless, Quinn pulled a small box from his pocket. "I was not sure if you would say yes yet, but I hoped." He opened the box to reveal a ring, a gold band with a small diamond. "It is not fancy, but it is real, and it is yours." Olivia's hands shook as Quinn slipped the ring onto her finger. It fit perfectly. "It is beautiful. When did you get this?" "I rode into town 3 days ago and asked the jeweler to make it. I have been carrying it around, waiting for the right moment." Quinn held her hand, looking at the ring on her finger. "I want everyone to know you are mine." "When?" Olivia asked. "When should we marry?" "As soon as possible. Next week if you want, or we can wait for the dance in August, make it a celebration." Quinn's eyes were bright. "Whatever you want." "The dance," Olivia decided. "I want Mei Ling and Wei there, and Tom and the other men who have been so kind to me. I want it to be a proper celebration. Then the dance it is. 1 month from now, you will be Olivia Edwards." They drove back to the ranch in the golden afternoon light, Olivia's hand resting in Quinn's on the wagon seat. The ring caught the sunlight, flashing. She could not stop looking at it, could not stop smiling. When they arrived home, Quinn helped her down from the wagon and kissed her thoroughly before they went inside. Mei Ling took one look at Olivia's face and shrieked with delight. "You are engaged. I knew it. I told why this would happen." She hugged Olivia. "This is wonderful news." "When is the wedding?" "At the August dance," Olivia said. 1 month from now, so soon, we have much to prepare." Mei Ling was already making plans. "You will need a proper wedding dress. I can sew. I will make you something beautiful, and we need to plan food and decorations and tell everyone." Wei appeared from his workshop, saw the commotion, and understood immediately. He shook Quinn's hand. "Congratulations. You are marrying a very good woman, I know. I am the luckiest man in Montana." The next month passed in a flurry of activity. Mei Ling threw herself into making Olivia's wedding dress, creating something beautiful from cream silk and lace. The ranch hands built a dance floor in town for the celebration. Quinn rode out to invite neighbors and friends, putting the word out that everyone was welcome. Olivia continued working on the ranch books, now with a new purpose. This was her ranch too, her future. She made improvements to the filing system, started projecting income and expenses for the next year, and helped Quinn plan for expanding the cattle operation. In the evenings, she and Quinn sat together on the porch, talking about their future. They discussed how many children they wanted, 3 or 4 if they were blessed. They talked about improving the house, adding a library and a larger kitchen. They made plans for the winter, for next spring, for years down the road. "I want to build a school," Quinn said one evening. "For the ranch families and anyone in the area who needs it. We have the resources and education is important." "I could teach," Olivia said, excited by the idea. "At least until we have children and maybe even after if we can manage it. We will make it work." Quinn pulled her close. "I want to give you everything, Olivia. Not just material things, but a life you love, work that matters, a family." "You already have," Olivia said honestly. 3 months ago, I was standing on a train platform with nowhere to go. Now I have a home, work I care about, and the love of a man I admire more than anyone I have ever met. You have given me everything that matters." The night before the wedding, Olivia could not sleep. She stood at her bedroom window, looking out at the mountains silhouetted against the stars. Tomorrow she would marry Quinn Edwards. Tomorrow her life would truly begin. A soft knock came at her door. "Olivia, are you awake?" She opened the door to find Mei Ling holding a cup of tea. "I thought you might need this. I could not sleep before my wedding either." They sat together by the window sipping tea. Mei Ling said, "You are sure about this? It is not too late to change your mind." "I have never been more sure of anything," Olivia said. "I love him, Mei Ling. He is everything I did not know I was looking for. He loves you too. Why and I have never seen him so happy." Mei Ling patted her hand. "You will have a good life together, I am sure of it." The wedding day dawned clear and perfect. Olivia dressed with Mei Ling's help, the cream silk dress fitting perfectly. Mei Ling wove wildflowers into her hair and stepped back to admire her work. "You are beautiful. Mr. Quinn will not be able to breathe when he sees you." They rode into Deer Lodge in the wagon, arriving to find the town transformed. Banners hung across the street, the new dance floor gleamed in the sun, and tables groaned with food. It seemed like everyone in the territory had come for the celebration. Judge Winters would perform the ceremony. Quinn waited by the dance floor, dressed in a new suit, his hair neatly cut. When he saw Olivia, his expression made her heart soar. She walked toward him, Y at her side giving her away, and took his hands. The ceremony was brief and perfect. Quinn's voice shook slightly as he said his vows, promising to love and cherish her for all his days. Olivia's voice was strong and clear as she made the same promises. When the judge pronounced them married, Quinn kissed her as if they were alone in the world, earning cheers from the crowd. The celebration lasted into the night. They ate and danced and laughed. Olivia met dozens of people, trying to remember names and faces. Everyone seemed genuinely happy for them. Even some of Quinn's business rivals came to offer congratulations. As the sun set and lanterns were lit, Quinn pulled Olivia onto the dance floor for a slow waltz. She rested her head on his shoulder, perfectly content. "Happy, Mrs. Edwards?" Quinn asked softly. "Happier than I have ever been." "Good. Because I plan to spend the rest of my life making sure you stay that way." They danced until late, then rode back to the ranch under a sky full of stars. Y and Mei Ling had discreetly moved to their cabin for the night, giving the newlyweds privacy. Quinn carried Olivia over the threshold of their home, and she laughed at the traditional gesture. "I am being presumptuous," Quinn said, setting her down. "Your things are still in the guest room. We can move them tomorrow, or you can stay there if you prefer." "Quinn Edwards, I just married you. I am not sleeping in a different room." Olivia took his hand and led him upstairs to his room, now their room. That night they came together as husband and wife, tender and passionate, discovering each other with wonder and joy. Afterward they lay entwined, Olivia's head on Quinn's chest, his fingers tracing patterns on her shoulder. "I love you," Quinn said. "I should have said it before, but I was afraid it was too soon. But it is true. I love you, Olivia. You are everything to me." "I love you too," Olivia whispered. "I think I started falling in love with you the day we met, when you offered me help without hesitation. You saved me, Quinn. You saved me too. I did not even realize how empty my life was until you filled it." The seasons changed, and life on the ranch continued its rhythm, but everything was different now. Olivia moved through her days with a contentment she had never known. She worked on the ranch accounts in the mornings, helped Mei Ling with the household in the afternoons, and spent evenings with Quinn, planning and dreaming and simply being together. In November, Olivia realized she was pregnant. She told Quinn over dinner, watching his face transform with joy and wonder. "A baby, we are having a baby." He pulled her into his arms. "When? Early summer, I think. June or July." Quinn held her carefully as if she might break. "Are you feeling all right? Do you need a doctor?" "Should you stop working?" Olivia laughed. "I am fine. Women have been having babies forever. I do not need to stop working." But Quinn fussed over her anyway, insisting she rest more, bringing her tea and cookies while she worked on the books. Mei Ling was just as bad, constantly trying to feed her and make sure she was comfortable. Olivia bore their attention with good humor, secretly touched by how much they cared. Winter settled over Montana, deep and cold. Snow piled up around the buildings, and the ranch hands fought to keep the cattle safe in the brutal temperatures. Quinn spent long hours out in the cold, checking on the herd and supervising the men. Olivia worried about him but knew this was the hardest part of ranching, the constant battle against winter. They spent the long evenings by the fire, Quinn reading aloud while Olivia sewed baby clothes. Sometimes Y and Mei Ling joined them, and they played cards or simply talked. It was peaceful and domestic, exactly what Olivia had hoped for when she came west. Spring arrived slowly, the snow melting in patches, revealing brown grass that would soon green. Olivia's pregnancy was obvious now, her belly round under her dresses. Quinn treated her like fragile glass, which drove her crazy even as it made her love him more. "I am not going to break," she said one morning when he tried to carry her downstairs. "I am pregnant, not an invalid." "I know. I am sorry. I just want to take care of you." "You do. But you need to let me be capable too." Quinn backed off, but Olivia caught him watching her with concern whenever she did anything more strenuous than sitting. In late May, they began preparing for the baby's arrival. Quinn converted a small bedroom next to their own into a nursery, building a cradle with Y's help. Olivia sewed curtains and bedding. Mei Ling knitted blankets and tiny sweaters. "You hope for a boy or girl?" Y asked Quinn as they worked on the cradle. "I do not care as long as they are healthy and Olivia comes through all right." Quinn sanded the wood smooth. "But I will admit, a daughter who looks like Olivia would be pretty wonderful." The baby came on a hot July afternoon. Olivia's labor started suddenly while she was working in the garden. Mei Ling rushed her inside, sent Y for the doctor in Deer Lodge, and stayed with Olivia through the long hours. Quinn paced downstairs, unable to stay in the room but unable to leave the house. Just after midnight, the baby's cry rang through the house. Quinn bolted up the stairs to find Mei Ling cleaning a squalling infant. "You have a son," she said, smiling, "and your wife is tired but well." Quinn barely heard her. He rushed to the bed where Olivia lay exhausted, her hair damp with sweat. "Are you all right?" "I am fine. Meet our son." Olivia held the baby, wrapped in one of Mei Ling's blankets. "He looks like you." Quinn looked down at the tiny red face, the dark hair, the little fists waving, Something shifted in his chest, an overwhelming wave of love and protectiveness. "He is perfect. You are perfect." He kissed Olivia's forehead. "Thank you." They named him Daniel Thomas Edwards, Daniel after Olivia's father and Thomas after Quinn's foreman who had become a good friend. Danny, as they called him, was a healthy baby with strong lungs and his father's amber eyes. Quinn was a devoted father, getting up for night feedings despite Olivia's protests, changing diapers without complaint, carrying Danny everywhere. Olivia watched her husband with their son and fell in love with him all over again. Life settled into a new rhythm. Olivia balanced motherhood with running the ranch accounts, working during Danny's naps. Quinn continued building his business empire, but he made sure to be home every evening to spend time with his family. Wai and Mei Ling doted on Danny, becoming honorary grandparents. When Danny was 6 months old, Olivia realized she was pregnant again. Quinn was thrilled, though he immediately began worrying all over again. "We are going to have a big family," he said, holding Danny while Olivia rested. "This house will be full of noise and chaos. Is that what you want?" Olivia asked. "It is exactly what I want. I grew up alone after my parents died. I want our children to have siblings, to have family." Quinn looked at her seriously. "But only if you want it too. This is hard on you." "I want it," Olivia said honestly. "I want all of it. The noise and chaos and love. I want to fill this house with children and build a life so full it overflows." Their second child, a daughter named Sarah Rose, arrived the following spring. She had Olivia's dark hair and Quinn's amber eyes, and she wrapped her father completely around her tiny finger from the moment she was born. 2 years later came another son, William James, called Will. He was quieter than his siblings, thoughtful and observant even as a baby. And 3 years after that, another daughter, Margaret Ann, called Maggie, who was as wild as the Montana wind from the day she took her first steps. The ranch house filled with noise and laughter and the controlled chaos of raising 4 children. Quinn expanded the house, adding more bedrooms and a larger kitchen. The ranch continued to prosper, growing into one of the most successful operations in the territory. True to his word, Quinn built a school on the ranch property. Olivia taught the ranch children and any families in the area who wanted education. She loved the work, balancing it with raising her own children and helping run the ranch. Years passed in a blur of joy and work and family. Danny grew tall and strong, learning ranching from his father. Sarah loved the horses, spending hours in the barn. Will preferred books and numbers, following his mother around the office. Maggie was fearless, climbing trees and racing her brothers. One evening, when Danny was 15 and Maggie was 8, the family sat on the porch watching the sunset. Danny and Sarah were arguing about whose turn it was to help with the horses. Will was reading. Maggie was trying to teach the dog tricks. Quinn and Olivia sat together on the bench, his arm around her shoulders. "You remember the day we met?" Quinn asked quietly. "When my wagon broke down in Deer Lodge, how could I forget? I was standing on that platform with nowhere to go, and then there you were with your broken wheel." Olivia leaned into him. "Best day of my life, though I did not know it then." "I knew," Quinn said. "Maybe not right away, but when you knelt down in the dust in your good dress and started explaining axle pins and weight distribution, I thought, this woman is different. This woman is special. I thought you were crazy for offering me a job after knowing me for an hour. Maybe I was. But it was the best crazy decision I ever made." Quinn kissed the top of her head. "I love you, Olivia. I have loved you for 17 years, and I will love you for the rest of my life." "I love you too." Olivia watched their children, this family they had built together. "Do you remember what I said to you the night we got married? That you saved me, I remember. I was wrong. We saved each other." Olivia turned to look at him. "You gave me a home and a purpose and a family, but I gave you the same things. We built this together, Quinn. Everything we have, we made it together." "You are right." Quinn pulled her closer. "We are a team. We always have been." Danny called out, "Dad, are you and Mom going to sit there being mushy all night, or are you going to help settle this argument?" Quinn laughed. "What is the argument?" "Sarah thinks she can ride better than me. I said I can ride better because I am older." "You are both excellent riders," Olivia said diplomatically. "Why does it have to be a competition?" "Because everything is a competition with Danny," Sarah said, rolling her eyes. Quinn stood. "All right, tomorrow morning we will have a riding competition. Fair course, fair rules. Loser has to muck out the barn for a week." Both children cheered. Will looked up from his book. "Can I be the judge? I will be impartial." "Sounds good to me." Quinn looked at Maggie. "What about you, little miss? You want to compete too?" "I am going to beat everyone," Maggie declared with absolute confidence. "She probably will," Olivia murmured to Quinn. "She is fearless." "She is like her mother," Quinn said, "brave and determined and absolutely certain of herself." The family moved inside as darkness fell, the children heading upstairs to bed, Olivia and Quinn lingering in the main room. Wai and Mei Ling had retired to their cabin years ago, though they still helped around the ranch. The house was quiet now that the children were settled. Quinn pulled Olivia into his arms. "Want to know a secret?" "Always." "I am the luckiest man who ever lived. I have the most incredible wife, 4 amazing children, a successful ranch, and a life I could not have dreamed of when I was 18 years old with $50 and a dream." Quinn held her close. "You made all of this possible. You took my chaos and made it ordered. You took my house and made it a home. You took my lonely life and filled it with love and laughter." "You give me too much credit," Olivia said, but her eyes were bright with tears. "You built this, Quinn." "We built it," Quinn corrected. "Together. And I am not done yet. I want to keep building with you for the next 50 years. I want to watch our children grow and have children of their own. I want to grow old with you right here on this land we love. That is what I want too." Olivia kissed him, soft and lingering. "You are stuck with me, Quinn Edwards, for the next 50 years and beyond. Thank God for that." The years continued to pass, each one bringing new challenges and joys. Danny married at 22, bringing home a smart, capable woman named Elizabeth who fit seamlessly into the family. They gave Quinn and Olivia their first grandchild, a boy they named Quinn Daniel when Danny was 24. Sarah married at 20, choosing a rancher from a neighboring property. She and her husband built a house on Edwards' land and raised horses, expanding that part of the family business. Will went east to college, coming home with a business degree and new ideas for growing the family enterprises. He never married, content to pour his energy into building the Edwards holdings into a territory-wide empire. Maggie married at 23, shocking everyone by choosing a teacher who loved books as much as she loved adventure. They traveled extensively, bringing back stories and gifts, but always returned to Montana for holidays and summers. Through it all, Quinn and Olivia remained the center of the family, the steady foundation everyone else built their lives on. They continued running the ranch together, Olivia handling the business side while Quinn managed the land and cattle. They were partners in every sense of the word, making decisions together, supporting each other through challenges, celebrating successes together. Wai passed away peacefully in his sleep at 78, with Mei Ling and the entire Edwards family at his side. They buried him on a hillside overlooking the ranch he had helped build. Mei Ling moved into the main house after that, becoming even more a part of the family. She helped raise the grandchildren, teaching them to cook and telling them stories of the early days, When Quinn turned 50, the family threw a massive celebration. All 4 children came home with their families. Grandchildren ran wild through the house and grounds. Friends and neighbors from across the territory attended. It was chaos and joy, and everything the Edwards family had become. That night, after everyone had gone to bed or home, Quinn and Olivia walked to the bench on the rise, the place where he had first told her he wanted to court her all those years ago. The view had not changed. The mountains still rose in the distance. The stars still filled the sky. 30 years, Quinn said, pulling Olivia close. 30 years since you helped a stranger fix his wagon. Best decision I ever made, Olivia said. I took a chance on a man I barely knew and he gave me the world. I would say we were lucky, but it was more than luck. Quinn kissed her temple. We chose each other, every single day. When things were hard, when we argued, when life threw challenges at us, we kept choosing each other. That is what love is, Olivia said softly. Not just the feeling, but the choice to keep loving even when it is difficult. It has never been difficult to love you, Quinn said. Easiest thing I ever did. Olivia turned in his arms to face him. Quinn Edwards, you are still the best man I have ever known. You are kind and strong and good. You built an empire, but you never forgot where you came from. You raised 4 incredible children. You have made hundreds of people's lives better through your work and generosity. I am so proud to be your wife. And I am proud to be your husband. Quinn cupped her face in his hands. I was nobody when you met me. Just a man with a broken wagon and a lot of land. You saw something in me worth believing in. You made me want to be better, to build something that mattered. You were never nobody. You were always extraordinary. I just helped you see it. They stood together on that hillside, looking out over the ranch they had built, the life they had created, and knew that they had succeeded beyond their wildest dreams. Not because of the land or the money or the business success, but because they had built a family, a legacy of love that would continue long after they were gone. Olivia thought back to that day on the Deer Lodge train platform, when she had stood rejected and alone, her future uncertain. If someone had told her then that she would end up here, on this ranch, with this man, with this life, she never would have believed them. But fate, chance, or divine intervention had brought her to that broken wagon, and everything had changed. Quinn had been right when he said they saved each other. She had come west looking for a fresh start and found a home. He had been building an empire alone and found a partner. Together, they had created something beautiful. As they walked back to the house hand in hand, Olivia felt nothing but gratitude. Gratitude for the man beside her, for the children sleeping upstairs, for the grandchildren who would visit tomorrow, for this land that had become home. She had found her place in the world, not through careful planning but through a spontaneous decision to help a stranger fix his wagon. Sometimes the best things in life come from unexpected moments, from chances taken on strangers, from being brave enough to say yes to an uncertain future. Olivia had taken that chance, and it had given her everything that mattered. Inside the house, Quinn locked the door and banked the fire. They climbed the stairs to their room, the same room they had shared since their wedding night 30 years ago. Everything was familiar and comfortable, worn smooth by years of love and use. As they settled into bed, Olivia rested her head on Quinn's chest, listening to his steady heartbeat. "Thank you," she whispered. "For what?" "For everything. For asking me to help fix your wagon. For offering me a job when I had nowhere to go. For falling in love with me. For giving me this beautiful life. Thank you for stopping to help, for taking a chance on a stranger, for loving me back, for making every day an adventure." Quinn stroked her hair. "Sleep now, my love. We have another wonderful day ahead tomorrow." Olivia closed her eyes, completely content. Outside, the Montana wind whispered through the pine trees, and the creek babbled over rocks, and the stars wheeled slowly overhead. Inside, two people who had found each other against all odds slept peacefully, secure in a love that had weathered 30 years and would last forever. The years ahead would bring more challenges and more joys, more grandchildren and eventually great-grandchildren, more sunsets watched from that bench on the hillside. But the foundation they had built together, that partnership forged on a dusty road in Deer Lodge when a stranger stopped to help fix a wagon, would remain unshakable. Olivia Dawson had come west as a rejected mail-order bride, humiliated and uncertain. She had become Olivia Edwards, partner in a ranching empire, mother of 4, grandmother of many, and the great love of Quinn Edwards' life. She had helped a stranger fix his wagon, and he had owned half the territory. Together, they had built a legacy that would last for generations. It was more than she had ever hoped for, more than she had ever dreamed. And it all started with a broken wheel, a woman with her father's knowledge, and two people brave enough to see the possibility in each other. As dawn broke over the Montana mountains, painting the sky gold and rose, a new day began at the Edwards Ranch. Children woke and dressed, breakfast was prepared, cattle needed tending, and life continued in its beautiful, chaotic way. And through it all, Quinn and Olivia Edwards faced it together, as they always had and always would. Their story was not one of dramatic rescue or passionate whirlwind romance, though there had been elements of both. It was a story of partnership, of two people who chose to build a life together, one decision, one day, one moment at a time. It was a story of love that grew stronger with years instead of fading, of commitment that deepened with challenge instead of breaking, of two people who brought out the best in each other and created something beautiful together. And it all started because a woman stopped to help a stranger fix his wagon, and that stranger recognized something special when he saw it. Sometimes that is all it takes, one moment of kindness, one decision to reach out, one chance taken on possibility instead of certainty. Olivia and Quinn Edwards had taken that chance, and it had given them everything.